Let me tell you a story that will make your heart ache. Imagine working hard for years in a foreign land, sending money home every month, only to return and find that everything was a lie. This is the true pain Jenifer faced. The girl who trusted her own blood. What she found back home will shock you. This is the house that was never built. Please, like and subscribe to my channel for more stories. My name is Jenifer, and I grew up in a small village in Enugu. Life was hard. We had no running water, no steady electricity, and I had big dreams. Dreams too big for that village. From a young age, I knew I wanted something more. I used to sit on a small wooden bench and draw houses in the sand. My dream was simple. One day, I would build a beautiful house for myself and my family. After secondary school, I did small jobs, selling pure water on the streets, helping in Mama and Ketchi's shop. I saved every naira I could, but it was never enough. One day I heard that some girls from the next town were moving to Italy. They said there was work there and money, real money. I spoke to my cousin Chuka, who had a friend that could help. We found a way. I sold my last gold earring and borrowed money to get a passport. The day I left Nigeria, I cried like a baby. My mama held me tight and whispered, "Don't forget us." I promised her I wouldn't. I boarded the plane with nothing but hope, fear, and a small handbag. I didn't know what was waiting for me, but I knew I would make it. For myself, for my family, for that house I always dreamed of. Italy was not easy, at all. I thought I would arrive and start working in an office or a shop, but the first few months were full of struggle. I didn't speak the language. I had no papers. I slept on the floor of a cold apartment with 6 other girls. Some of them cried at night. Some didn't talk at all. We all came for a better life, but none of us knew how hard it would be. Eventually, I found work cleaning homes. It paid little, but I saved every single euro. I didn't buy new clothes. I didn't go out. I cooked my own food and walked everywhere. Every month, I sent money back home, to my mother, to Chuka, and to my younger sister. I told them to start building the house. I even sent sketches of how I wanted it to look. 3 bedrooms, a big kitchen, and a red roof. Chuka would send me pictures of the land, then later, pictures of cement blocks and foundation work. He said the house was going up fast. I was so happy. Each time I felt tired or homesick, I looked at those pictures and told myself it's all worth it. I was building something real, something mine. But what I didn't know was that those pictures were lies. I stayed in Italy for 8 years. 8 long years of cleaning houses, taking care of old people, working extra shifts just to send money back home. Every month, I sent a large part of my pay to Chuka and Mama. I told them to use it wisely. Finish the house, put doors, paint the walls, get windows, I said. And every time they said, "Don't worry, we are doing everything just like you said." Sometimes I would cry alone in my room, not because of the hard work, but because I missed home. I missed Mama's voice, the smell of harmattan, the sound of roosters in the morning. But I believed that one day I would return to something beautiful, a place I could finally call mine, a house I built with my own sweat. One day, Chuka sent me a photo of a completed house, red roof, white walls, flowers in front. I was so happy I printed the picture and hung it beside my bed. Every morning before work, I would touch it and say, "Soon." I started planning to come back home. I didn't tell anyone. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted to walk through the gate and see their faces light up. I wanted to sleep in my own room. I thought about it every day. But life had other plans. It was December. I booked my ticket and packed my bags with excitement. I even bought gifts, shoes for Mama, a new phone for Chuka, toys for the little ones. I couldn't stop smiling. The night before my flight, I kept looking at the photo of the house. My house. I whispered to myself. You did it, Jenifer. You did it. When I arrived in Enugu, the sun hit my skin like a warm hug. I took a taxi straight to the village. I didn't call anyone. I just wanted to see the house with my own eyes. The taxi stopped in front of the land, but there was nothing there. No house, no red roof, no walls, just grass and old bricks. The land was empty, like no one had touched it in years. I got down, shaking. I asked a boy nearby, "Please, what happened to the house here?" He looked confused. "Auntie, no house day, hero. This land don't day empty since." My legs gave way. I sat on the bare ground, too shocked to even cry. Where was my house? Where was all my money? What had they done to me? I sat there, frozen. My head was spinning. 8 years. 8 years of sending money, and this is what I came home to? I got up slowly and walked straight to Mama's house. My heart was beating fast. I didn't even knock. I just pushed the door open. Mama was sitting on the floor, peeling yam. When she saw me, her eyes widened. "Jenifer?" I didn't smile. I didn't hug her. I just asked one question. "Where is the house?" She stood up slowly. "My daughter, let me explain." I raised my hand. "No stories, Mama. Where is the house I paid for?" She looked away. My cousin Chuka came in from outside, holding a small radio. When he saw me, he dropped it. "Ah, you didn't tell us you were coming." I looked him dead in the eyes. "Good. Now explain to me what you did with all the money I sent." He stammered. "Sister Jenifer." Things were hard. Mama was sick. We used some money for medicine, then school fees. Then the land had issue with boundary. "Boundary," I shouted. "You showed me pictures. You told me the house was finished." He scratched his head. I was trying to protect you. You were working too hard already. We didn't want to stress you." Tears burned in my eyes. "So you lied to me? All of you lied for years?" Mama tried to touch my hand. "Please forgive us." "But how do you forgive the people who stole your dream?" I stayed silent for a long moment. My body felt numb. I had worked like a slave in a foreign land, and the people I trusted most betrayed me. Even Mama, the woman who gave birth to me, stood by and watched it happen. "Where is the money now?" I asked. Chuka looked down. "It's gone. Gone. Just like that." I walked out of the house without another word. My feet carried me to the empty plot of land. I sat on the same ground again, but this time I didn't cry. I stared into space and thought about everything. The years I would never get back, the birthdays I missed, the tired nights, the dreams I carried. I wasn't angry anymore. I was just empty. Neighbors started to whisper, "Is that not Jenifer, the one who went abroad? I heard she's back. Where is the house she was building?" Shame washed over me. I felt like a fool. But as I sat there, something in me changed. For the first time in years, I wasn't chasing a dream overseas. I was standing on my own land. Maybe the house wasn't built, but I was still here, and this time, I would build something no one could take from me. Not just a house, but a new life. The next morning, I woke up in the same old room I grew up in. No fan, no mattress, just a wrapper on the floor. The air smelled like dust and forgotten promises. I didn't sleep much, but I kept thinking about how I trusted my own family, how I sent them everything. And now I had to walk around this village with nothing to show. I stepped outside and saw neighbors staring. Some pretended to smile, others didn't hide their shock. One woman even whispered loud enough for me to hear. She went to Obodo Oyibo and came back empty-handed. I wanted to scream, to shout the truth, that I gave everything, that it wasn't my fault, that they lied to me, but I didn't. I just walked quietly, holding my head high, even though inside I was breaking. I passed by the church I used to sing in, the small shop where I once sold bread, the mango tree where I sat as a child. Everything looked the same, but I didn't feel the same. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't just about the house. This was about me, my dignity, my future, and the decision I had to make: stay broken or start over. Later that day, I went to the market to clear my head. I wore simple clothes and tied a scarf, hoping no one would recognize me. But just as I picked up some tomatoes, I heard a familiar voice. "Jenifer, is that you?" I turned. It was Adana, my childhood friend. We hadn't seen each other in over 10 years. She looked so different, fuller, stronger, more confident. She hugged me tight, not even caring about the people staring. "You're back. Wow, how long has it been?" she said, smiling. I forced a smile. "Too long." She looked at me properly and asked, "Are you okay?" That question broke me. I tried to lie, to say yes, but my voice shook. "Not really," I whispered. She didn't ask too many questions. She just held my hand and said, "Come with me." Adana took me to her home, a small but neat bungalow with fresh paint and clean chairs. She gave me food, let me bathe, let me rest. She didn't judge me or ask for explanations. That night, I cried in her guest room. Not just because of the betrayal, but because I finally felt safe for the first time in a long time. And I started to believe maybe I could begin again. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of fried plantain and eggs. For a moment, I felt like a child again, before life became so heavy. Adana called me to the small dining table. She smiled and said, "Eat first, then we talk." After we finished eating, I told her everything. I didn't hide anything. I told her how I worked in Italy, how I sent money every month, how Chuka lied, and how I returned to find an empty land. She didn't interrupt. She just listened with her hand resting on mine. When I finished, she looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "Jenifer, you didn't lose. You gave. You gave out of love. And that's never weakness. But now it's time to give to yourself." Her words hit me hard. I had spent so many years giving money, giving time, giving trust. But I forgot about me. I forgot that I had dreams too, not just for others. Adana asked me if I wanted to stay with her for a while. I nodded. I had no other place to go, and more than anything, I needed peace. And that small house of hers, filled with quiet kindness, became my first safe place in a very long time. A week passed. Then, too, I started helping Adana with her small business. She made snacks, buns, puff, chin-chin, and supplied them to shops and schools. She woke up early every day to fry, pack, and deliver. I joined her, and for the first time in years, I felt useful again. We would laugh as we worked, talk about old times, and even plan new recipes. One day, while frying together, Adana looked at me and said, "Jenifer, why not start your own snack line? You have the skills, you have the experience, and you have your story." I shook my head. "Who will buy from me? Everyone knows I came back with nothing." She laughed. "That's the best part. You came back with nothing, but you're starting with something more powerful, truth and strength." That night, I thought about it seriously. I had spent 8 years building a house that never existed, but maybe now I could build something that couldn't be taken away. Not walls, not blocks. Life, a purpose. Name. The next morning, I sat down with a pen and paper. I didn't know where to begin. but I wrote one word at the top: re. Not a house, not a dream built on lies, but me. I started with small ideas. A snack line like Adana suggested, something affordable, something people would enjoy. I remembered how the children in Italy loved my homemade chin-chin. I used to make it and share with the girls in my building. They always said, "Jenifer, you should sell this." So why not try? I asked Adana if I could use her kitchen space to start small. She said yes without thinking twice. I took N5,000 from the little I had left, bought flour, sugar, oil, and nylon bags. That same evening, I made my first batch. The smell filled the whole house. Sweet, buttery. Adana helped me pack them neatly. The next day, I carried the bags on my head and walked from shop to shop. I greeted people with a smile and said, "Please try my snacks, fresh and homemade." Some people ignored me. Some looked at me like I was wasting their time. But a few, just a few, gave me a chance. And that was all I needed. That evening, I sold out. Every single bag. I walked back home tired but smiling. For the first time in years, I earned money with my own hands. No lies, no fake pictures, no family pretending. Just me, my chin-chin, and my courage. Adina welcomed me at the door with a proud smile. "I told you," she said. We counted the money together. N7, 800, a small amount, but to me, it felt like millions. It was proof that I could start again. The next morning, I made more. Did more. Within 2 weeks, I had 4 shops calling me to restock. Adana helped me design a simple label, Jen's Snacks, fresh from the heart. I laughed when I saw it. "You think anyone will take me seriously?" She looked me straight in the eye. "They already are." Each day brought new challenges. Supplies finished quickly, some customers didn't pay on time, and my back hurt from standing too long. But still, I didn't stop. Because this time, no one could lie to me. No one could take this from me. And slowly, without bricks or cement, I was building something real, something that mattered. It didn't take long before the village started talking. "Have you heard? Jenifer is selling snacks now." He came back with nothing, but look at her, moving up. I thought she failed. Maybe not. First, the whispers felt heavy, like rocks on my back. But the more I heard them, the less they mattered. I didn't come back for gossip. I came back to start again. And this time, I was doing it my way. Even Mama came to visit one morning. She didn't say much at first, just sat quietly in Adana's small living room. Then she said, "You're stronger than I thought." Here I didn't reply. She looked down at her hands and added, "I'm sorry, Jenifer. I should have spoken up. I knew Chuka wasn't doing right. I didn't know how to stop him." I took a deep breath. "I didn't need you to stop him," I said. "I needed you to stand by me." She nodded slowly. "You're right, and I'm sorry." It didn't erase the pain, but it was a start. 2 weeks later, Chuka showed up at Adana's gate. He looked uncomfortable, like he didn't expect me to still be standing. He didn't even knock, just stood there, rubbing his hands and shifting from foot to foot. I stepped outside and folded my arms. "What do you want, Chuka?" He cleared his throat. "I heard you're doing business now. That's good, really good." I didn't smile. "I came to say sorry," he continued. "I made mistakes, big ones. I was young and greedy. I thought there would always be more time to fix things." I stared at him. The same cousin who took my money, lied to me, let me live in a dream that didn't exist. "You didn't just make mistakes, Chuka. You destroyed trust. You took from me what I'll never get back, my time." He swallowed hard. "I know. I really know. But if there's any way I can make it right..." I shook my head. "No. You don't get to fix it with words. Not this time. If you really want to make it right, Don't come back with talk. Come back with actions." He looked down, ashamed. "I understand." Then he turned and left. And for the first time, I didn't feel broken after seeing him. I felt strong, like a woman who was finally standing on her own feet. One hot afternoon, I got a phone call that changed everything. It was from a school in the next town. The head teacher said one of her teachers had bought my chin-chin and loved it. Now they wanted to order for the whole school. Students, staff, everyone. "Can you deliver 300 packs by Friday?" she asked. I paused. 300? That was more than I had ever made at once. But without thinking too much, I said, "Yes, Ma, I can." After the call, I stared at my hands. They were shaking. How would I fry and pack 300 chin-chin in just 2 days? But I reminded myself I didn't survive Italy to be afraid of flour and sugar. That same evening, Adana and I got to work. We bought extra ingredients, cleared the kitchen, and worked late into the night. My hands were tired, my feet sore, but inside I felt alive. We laughed, we danced while frying. It felt like something bigger than business. It felt like purpose. By Friday morning, all 300 packs were ready. I delivered them in a wheelbarrow I rented for N500. When the head teacher tasted one, she smiled. "You made this yourself?" "Yes, Mum," I said proudly. She nodded. "You'll go far." A week later, my name was on everyone's lips. "Have you tasted Jen's snacks? She's the one that came back from Italy. I heard she delivered to a whole school." Even people who once mocked me started greeting me with respect. One man who once laughed at me for carrying chin-chin on my head now waved and said, "Big madam, we dey see your worko." I didn't let it get to my head. I stayed humble. I still woke up early, still fried everything with my own hands. But deep inside, I felt something changing. For the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing anyone else's dream. I wasn't sending money for someone else to manage. I was in control. Mama came by more often. She started helping me pack the snacks. She didn't say much, but I could see it in her eyes. She was proud. And I forgave her. Fully. Because holding on to pain would only slow me down. One evening, I sat on the same plot of land where my dream house was supposed to be. The breeze was soft. The sky was pink. I looked around and said to myself, maybe the house was never built because something better was waiting. And I believed it with all my heart. One Sunday morning, I was cleaning Adana's small veranda when a young lady in jeans and glasses walked up to the gate. She had a small camera in her hand and a notebook in the other. "Good morning," she said with a smile. "Are you Jenifer?" I nodded slowly. "I'm from Enugu Stories Weekly. Someone told us about your journey. We'd like to feature you in our magazine. Your return from Italy, the betrayal, and how you started Gen Snacks." I blinked. "You want to write about me?"
She nodded again. "Yes. Your story is powerful. People need to hear it." I didn't know what to say. For years, I lived in silence, shame, regret. But now someone wanted to share my story, not as a warning, but as inspiration. I agreed. We sat under the mango tree while she asked me questions. I told her the truth, how I left with nothing, how I sent everything back, and how I was building my life again from scratch. When the interview ended, she smiled at me and said, "You're stronger than most women I know." That night, I couldn't sleep, not because I was sad, but because I realized maybe my story had meaning after all. 1 week later, the magazine came out. My face was on the front cover with the title, "The Woman Who Returned with Nothing But Built Everything." At first, I was shy to look at it, but Adana rushed into the house with 5 copies. "You're a star," she shouted, waving them like flags. People started calling me. Even women I hadn't spoken to in years reached out. "Jenifer, Your story gave me hope. Please, can you teach me how to start a business too? My daughter wants to be like you. It was overwhelming, but beautiful. I went from being a joke to being a role model. Even Chuka's mother came to me one afternoon. My son read the article, she said quietly. He cried. He said he didn't deserve your kindness. I just nodded.
Didn't need revenge. Success was already speaking louder than any insult ever could. And for the first time in my life, I no longer felt like a woman who lost everything. I felt like a woman who found something greater, herself. One quiet morning, I walked alone to the land I had once cried over. The same land that stayed empty while my family lied. The same land I thought was the end of my dream. But now, standing there, I didn't feel sadness anymore. I felt peace. I took off my slippers and stepped barefoot on the soil. I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you, God, for bringing me back here, stronger." I decided something that day. I wasn't going to build the house I once planned, not yet. Instead, I would turn that land into something that could help others. A small baking shed, a training spot, a place where women like me, forgotten, used, or ashamed, could come and learn how to stand again. I told Adana the idea, and she smiled. "That's the Jenifer I know." We got to work. A neighbor donated wood. A friend gave us an old table. I used part of my savings to buy 2 stoves and a few utensils. And just like that, the land that once held lies began to grow truth. The first time I gathered a few young girls to teach them how to make chin-chin, I was nervous. What if they didn't take me seriously? What if they thought I was just some woman who failed overseas? But when I spoke, they listened. When I mixed the flour, they followed. When we fried together, they smiled. After the class, one of the girls, her name was Ifunanya, walked up to me. She looked about 19. She held my hand and said, "Auntie Jenifer, I was planning to leave Nigeria next year. I thought the only way to succeed was to go abroad. But after hearing your story, I want to try here first." That moment broke me, not in a bad way, in a good way, because I realized something powerful. My pain had become someone else's hope. I hugged her tightly and whispered, "You can make it right here, my dear. You don't need to leave to become somebody." And as the sun set behind us, I knew this was the beginning of something bigger than me. One afternoon, I was teaching a small group how to make buns when I saw a car park outside the gate. It was Chuka. He stepped out slowly. He looked different, older, quieter, not the loud, proud cousin I used to know. I wiped my hands on my apron and walked toward him. He didn't speak at first, just looked around at the shed, the girls, the bags of snacks drying under the sun. "You've done well, Jenifer," he said finally. I crossed my arms. "Why are you here?" He sighed. "I wanted to say it again. I'm sorry, not just for the money, but for ruining your trust. And I want to do something right, even if it's small." He opened his bag and brought out an envelope. "It's not much, but I've been saving. I started a bike business. Things are picking up. This is N 150,000. I want to help you build something better for this training center." I was shocked, not because of the money, but because I saw something new in him. Guilt, humility, change. I looked at him for a long time. Then I said, "It's not about the money anymore, Chuka. It's about doing better. For real." He nodded. "I understand. I'll keep proving it." And for the first time in years, I believed him. With Chuka's support and help from others, we expanded the small baking shed into something bigger. We called it the Jen Snacks Foundation. It wasn't just a place to fry snacks anymore. It became a safe space, a school for girls who had been left behind, girls who were about to give up, girls who thought success only lived in Europe or America. I taught them everything I knew: how to fry, how to pack, how to price. But more than that, I taught them confidence. I taught them that you don't need to wear foreign clothes or speak perfect English to build a life with meaning. Soon we had our first 10 students, then 20. Some of them even started their own small snack businesses in nearby villages. They called me often with joy in their voices. "Auntie Jenifer, I sold 20 packs today. Honey, someone wants to buy my chin-chin in bulk." Each time I heard their voices, I cried happy tears. I once cried because I lost everything. Now I cry because I'm helping others find their own way. And deep in my heart, I knew this was the house I was always meant to build. Not with bricks, but with love, strength, and purpose. One morning, as I was sorting chin-chin orders under the mango tree, Adana came running toward me with a white envelope. "It came for you," she said, breathless. "From Italy." My hands froze. I hadn't heard from anyone there in over a year. I slowly opened the envelope. Inside was a short letter and a picture. It was from Mrs. Lucia, one of the old women I used to care for. Her letter was simple. "Dear Jenifer, you were the kindest girl I ever met. I heard you returned home. I just wanted to say thank you for taking care of me when my own family didn't. You gave me more love than they ever did. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're smiling again. With love, Lucia." Tears fell from my eyes. Back then, I used to feel invisible in that cold Italian apartment. But now, I realize something. People saw me. Even when I felt small, my heart was still making an impact. That picture she sent? It was of both of us, smiling in her garden. I had forgotten it ever existed. I held it close to my chest and whispered, "Thank you for reminding me who I've always been." That night, I sat on my bed, holding the letter and thinking. For so long, I chased a dream of owning a house. I thought it had to look a certain way: painted walls, big gates, fancy chairs. But now, I saw it differently. My real house was this life I had built. The girls I trained, the name I made, the lives I touched. But deep down, I still wanted something. A real home. A space to call mine. Not to prove anything to people. Not for pride, but for peace. I opened a new notebook and wrote at the top, "My real home project. Start small, dream deep." It wouldn't be anything too big. Just a 2-bedroom bungalow, a clean kitchen, a small reading corner, in your garden outside, and peace inside. I smiled as I wrote. This time, I wouldn't send the money to anyone else. I would manage it, brick by brick, bank by bag, step by step, and no one would steal this dream from me, because now I knew my worth. And this time, the house would truly be mine. It started with one block, just one. I saved $10,000 and used it to buy a few bags of cement. Then I called a local mason, Mr. Ozo, a kind, elderly man who had built houses in our village for years. "You know you want build?" he asked, surprised. I nodded, "Yes, me." He smiled. "Good, it's time." We walked to my land together, the same land that once broke my heart. But now, it felt different. This land had seen my tears, yes, but now, it would see my victory. The next morning, we broke ground. I stood there, watching as the shovel hit the earth, and I whispered to myself, this time, no lies. Every bag of cement came from my own sweat, every plank, every nail, every paintbrush. I bought with my hands. Adana helped where she could. Some girls from the training center even joined to carry water and sand. It was small, just 2 rooms and a kitchen. But to me,
It felt like a castle. 3 months later, the house was standing. It wasn't finished yet. No tiles, no fancy paint, just raw walls, simple windows, and a strong zinc roof.
but it was mine.
Every inch of it. I walked through the doorway barefoot, smiling. I could still smell the fresh cement. I touched the walls gently like they were gold. That night, I slept on the floor, no mattress yet, just a wrapper and my small pillow, but I slept like a queen.
There were no lies in that room. No fake promises. No stolen dreams. Only truth. Only peace. The next morning, I stood by the door and watched the sunrise. And I whispered something to the wind. You tried to break me, but I rose. Then I picked up my apron, tied it around my waist, and got ready for the day. Because even though the house was now real, my mission wasn't over. There were still girls to train, still dreams to support, still hearts to lift. And now, I could do it from a place that belonged to me. One day, I received a phone call from a woman named Mrs. Uloma. She was the organizer of a local women's empowerment program in Enugu. We're hosting an event next week, she said, to celebrate women who are changing their communities. Someone nominated you. I didn't know what to say. Yes, you, she said with a warm laugh. We've heard about your story, your snack business, the girls you've trained, your honesty. It's inspiring. A few days later, Adana helped me pick out a simple native gown. Nothing flashy, just something clean and respectful. I borrowed small earrings from her and wrapped my hair neatly. When we got to the event, my name was on the program list. Jenifer Obi, Rising Woman of the Year. I sat at the back, still wondering if I belonged in that room full of women in fancy clothes and polished shoes. But when they called my name, everyone clapped. I walked to the stage with slow steps, heart beating fast. They gave me a wooden plaque with my name on it. For a second, I just held it and stared.
Not because of the award, but because a woman who once had nothing, no house, no money, no support, was now being celebrated. I gave a short speech. I was once fooled, broken, and forgotten, but I found strength again by giving others what I never got: honesty, support, and love. If I can rise, anyone can. The hall stood up and clapped, and I cried. Happy tears. A few weeks after the event, something unexpected happened. I got a visit from a woman named Ngozi. She was soft-spoken and wore a suit that looked expensive. She said she worked with an NGO that supports local women in business. We read about you in the magazine, and we saw your speech, she said. We're looking for women with real stories, not just nice pictures. Women who are lifting others. She walked around the small center, watched the girls baking, tasted the chin-chin. Then she smiled. We want to support you. I blinked. Support? How? She opened her bag and brought out a letter. Inside was a check and 1 million. I held my chest, my legs felt weak. Use it to grow the center, she said gently. Buy better equipment, train more girls. We'll also send mentors to help you structure the business. Couldn't believe it. From nothing to this. As she left, I held the check to my chest and whispered, thank you. Not just to her, to God, to life, to myself for not giving up. That evening, I called all the girls together. We sat on the bare floor, eating puff puff and laughing. I showed them the check. This is not just for me, I said. It's for us. We're building something that will last. And they clapped. Some even cried. Because they knew they were no longer just girls in the background. They were builders too. After we received the donation, everything moved faster. We bought a bigger stove, new baking trays, and even a sealing machine to pack the snacks better. The training center looked different now. Cleaner, more organized, more serious. But one thing didn't change: the heart. Every girl that walked through the door was treated like family. We didn't just teach recipes, we shared our stories. Some of the girls had been abandoned, some had no parents, some had once tried to leave Nigeria too. But here, they found something better than escape. They found purpose. We added more products: coconut candy, banana chips, plantain crisps. And people loved them. Orders started coming from outside the village, even from small shops in Enugu town.
Every Friday, we gathered to clean the center, pray together, and share our weekly wins. I always made time to look each girl in the eye and say, "I see you. I believe in you." And slowly, they started believing in themselves, too. That, to me, was the real profit. Not just money, but lives rebuilt. One Sunday evening, as I was sweeping the yard, I saw a car pull up at the gate. A tall woman stepped out, slim, dressed in jeans and a jacket. She wore glasses and held a small suitcase. She looked lost. "Good evening," she said softly. "I'm looking for Jenifer Obi." "I'm Jenifer," I replied. She smiled. "My name is Amarachi. I just came back from Germany. I read your story online and I needed to see you." I was surprised. "You came all the way from abroad?" She nodded. "I was in a bad place. I worked 2 jobs, cried every night, and didn't know why I was still trying. Then someone sent me your article. I read it 3 times. It gave me hope." She paused. "I came back to start again, like you." Tears filled my eyes. I opened the gate wider. "Come in," I said. "You're not alone." That night, we sat under the moonlight. She shared her pain. I shared mine. And once again, I realized something. When you choose to heal out loud, you give others permission to do the same. And just like that, Amarachi became our newest student. Another woman rising from the ashes. Another brick in the house I was truly building. Amarachi blended in so quickly, you'd think she had always been part of us. She was smart, hardworking, and full of ideas. But she was also carrying pain, deep pain, from the years she spent feeling lost in Germany. Every time she shared her story during class, the other girls listened closely. One day, she said something that made us all go quiet. "I used to think starting over meant failure, but now I see. Starting over is strength." We all clapped. That week, Amarachi helped us design better labels for our snacks. She had learned graphic design while abroad. Suddenly, our chin-chin packs looked cleaner, more professional. Shops began calling faster. People took us more seriously. I sat with her one night while washing mixing bowls. "You know," I said, "you didn't just come to start over. You came to help us grow." She smiled. "And you reminded me I still have something to offer." I looked around at all the girls laughing, kneading dough, sweeping the compound. This wasn't just a training center anymore. It was a sisterhood. We had each other's backs. We celebrated wins together. We cried together. We prayed for each other. This was the kind of home I had always dreamed of. Not a building, but a safe place full of love. One afternoon, Mama came to visit me again. She walked slowly, carrying a small basin of okra from the farm. Her hands were wrinkled now. Her steps were slower. But her eyes, those same eyes that once looked away when I cried, now looked at me with pride. "Jenifer," she said softly, "you've done what I could never do." I smiled. "You raised me. That's enough." She shook her head gently. "Number I failed you." I stayed silent when I should have spoken. I followed instead of leading. But now, I want to do better. She reached into her bag and brought out a small envelope. It was 40,000 naira. I sold my last bags of palm oil, she said. I want you to use this to train more girls. Maybe some girl out there is waiting for someone to believe in her, like you once waited for us. I didn't speak. I just hugged her, tightly, not because of the money, but because I had my mother back, not the woman who once watched my dream fall apart, but the woman who now wanted to help others build theirs. That day, we made okra soup together, and as the pot boiled and the girls danced in the kitchen, I thought to myself, this is the kind of house no storm can destroy. It was a quiet Thursday morning when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. It was a number I didn't know, but something told me to pick it up. Hello, is this Jenifer Obi? The voice asked. Yes, who's speaking? My name is Mr. Anin. I'm the manager of a supermarket chain in Enugu. We came across your snacks at a trade fair last week. Someone brought a few samples. Are you the one behind Gen Snacks? I stood up slowly. Yes, sir, that's me. Well, we'd like to stock your snacks in our stores. 3 branches for a start. Can you supply 500 packs weekly? I nearly dropped the phone. 500 packs. Every week. Yes, sir, I can, I said, trying to keep my voice calm even though my heart was racing. After the call, I stood in the middle of the compound, just staring at the sky. Adana walked past and saw my face. What happened? We just got into supermarkets, I whispered. She screamed, You're joking! No, I laughed. It's real. The girls gathered around. We all jumped and screamed and clapped our hands. We didn't have a drum, but we beat the table like one. That day, I realized something deep. When you keep doing good, even quietly, the world will find you. The next few weeks were a rush. We had to increase production, fast. I called a local carpenter to build more work tables. We bought bigger bowls and 2 new gas cylinders. Amarachi helped organize a shift plan. The girls worked in teams, and we all took turns resting, mixing, frying, and sealing. Every single pack had to be perfect. We didn't just want to feed people, we wanted to tell a story with every bite. I designed a new tag to attach to the packaging, made with love by women who refused to give up. The customers loved it. Sales tripled. The supermarket manager called to say the packs sold out faster than expected. Now, we were not just a snack business, we were a brand. I held a small team meeting with the girls one Friday evening. We sat in a circle under the mango tree like we always did. I looked around and said, You're not just workers. You are co-founders. You are leaders. And this is only the beginning. They clapped. Some cried, because deep down, they knew. They were no longer just learning. They were building, not just for Jenifer, but for themselves. And together, we were building the kind of house the world could never tear down. The news spread faster than I expected. Soon, girls from nearby villages started showing up at our gate. Some came with plastic bags, some with nothing at all, just tears in their eyes and hope in their hearts. One girl, barely 17, knelt in front of me and said, Please, Auntie Jenifer, I heard you help girls who have nowhere to go. I don't want to end up on the streets. Her name was Oluchi. She had left home after her stepmother threw her out. I helped her up, gave her water, and said, You're safe now. We found a small corner for her to sleep. The other girls gave her clothes and taught her the basics. In 2 weeks, Oluchi could fry chin-chin better than most people in the village, and she never stopped smiling. I realized then, we had become more than a training center. We had become a shelter, a place where broken dreams could heal. We weren't just teaching skills anymore. We were rebuilding lives. And it humbled me deeply, because once upon a time, I came home with nothing. Now, girls were coming to me for a new beginning. One evening, I was folding laundry when Adana called from inside the house. Jenifer, quick, turn on the radio. I rushed in, confused. A female presenter was talking excitedly. And now, our Woman of the Month, Jenifer Obi. From heartbreak to healing, this young woman turned betrayal into a blessing. Her snack brand is now in supermarkets, and she's training over 50 girls across 3 villages, a true symbol of hope in our generation. I stood still. My heart felt warm. Me? On the radio? Adana danced around the room. The girls screamed in the background. I just stood there, smiling quietly, not because of the fame, but because I knew how far I had come, from cleaning houses in Italy, to crying over fake pictures of a house, to sleeping on the floor in Adana's house. Now my name was being spoken with respect. I didn't chase it. I just stayed honest, and now it was finding me. Later that night, I looked out my window at the moon and whispered, "You were never just building a house, Jenifer. You were building yourself." One afternoon, I found an old box under my bed. Inside were things I hadn't looked at in years: my first passport, the sketch of my dream house I drew when I was 19, a photo of the fake house Chuka sent me. I sat on the floor and stared at them one by one. That passport reminded me of the fear I carried when I first left Nigeria, the dreams I stuffed into a handbag, the hope that Italy would fix everything. That sketch, it was innocent, just lines on paper. But to me back then, it was everything. I wanted to prove I could build something great. And that photo was a lie I once believed. I should have torn it, but I didn't. I placed it beside my real house key, the one I now owned, and I smiled because I no longer needed to erase my past. I had grown past it. The woman in that passport? She didn't know her worth, but the woman holding the key now? She knew exactly who she was. One morning, Amarachi walked into the office with a small girl holding her hand. "This is Blessing," she said. "Her mother sells roasted corn by the roadside. She wants to learn how to bake." Blessing looked no older than 11. I bent down and smiled. "You want to learn to make snacks?" She nodded shyly. We gave her an apron that nearly swallowed her. The other girls clapped and welcomed her in. That day, she helped mix the dough and dust the chin-chin. Later, as we were cleaning up, I watched her laughing with the other girls, and something hit me. This wasn't just a snack business, it was a seed, one that would keep growing long after I'm gone. Every girl we trained would one day teach someone else. Every hand we held would reach for another. Blessing may be young now, but one day she'll be strong, bold, free. And when people ask her where it started, she'll say, "At the house that wasn't built, but changed everything." A year passed. Not everything was perfect, but everything was real. We had trained over 100 girls. 3 of them opened their own roadside snack kiosks. 2 of them got small loans to start shops in their villages. 1 got a scholarship to study food science. And me? I finally saved enough to finish the house. The small 2-bedroom I started with my own hands. We painted it light blue. I planted flowers outside. The kitchen was small but neat. There was even a tiny reading corner with a window that faced the sunrise. The first night I slept there, I didn't feel rich. I felt home. And this time, I didn't cry tears of pain. I cried tears of peace. I no longer needed people to see me and say, "She made it." Because deep in my heart, I knew I did, not because of the house, but because of the woman I became while building it. One evening, I sat outside on my small veranda. Blessing sat beside me, writing in a notebook. Amarachi was washing dishes in the kitchen. Adana was inside, making tea. The girls were laughing in the compound. It was calm. It was full. I thought back to everything: the lies, the tears, the struggle, but also the hands that helped, the girls who rose, the truth that carried me when nothing else did. I smiled, because now I understood. The house that was never built, it was built, not with cement, but with second chances, with courage, with sisterhood. And as I sat there watching the girls learn, lead, and laugh, I realized this was always the house, and I was always meant to be its builder. The end.